Hello students, greetings of the day. I hope you all are doing good and so must be your family members. I, Mrs. Usha Vasani, welcome you all to RKC Online Social Studies class. Today we are going to study chapter number 15, The Coming of the British. We will proceed with our chapter in part 6. So let us begin with the learning. Students, I hope you all must have watched the previous 5 videos. This is part 6. So it is very necessary for you all to watch all the videos serial wise so that you get better connected to the 6th video. In the previous video, we learnt about the revolt of 1857. What were the different causes of the revolt? The revolt was a failure, and what happened after the revolt? So in today's learning, we will know about the turning point of the revolt of 1857. This video will tell you about the rise of nationalism. You will also know about the social reformers of India and will discuss that what were the reasons behind the birth of Indian National Congress. So the following are the learning objectives of today's learning. So let's begin with today's learning. Students, just to get connected with the further learning, let us one more time recap the immediate cause of the revolt of 1857. The main cause of the war of independence of India were some of the political, social, economic, military and religious causes. But the main event which became the immediate cause of the war was the refusal of the sepoys to use the greased covered cartridges that was greased with the fat of pig and cow. The revolt started on 23rd January 1857. The soldiers expressed their anger collectively, and this led to the revolt, or you can say sepoy mutiny, and further later on it also came to be known as the First War of Independence. The soldiers shot down their superiors and took over Meerut. So basically the revolt started from Meerut. The revolt spread to other cities like Delhi, Lucknow, Jhansi, etc. The main heroes of the revolt were the people who headed the revolt. I mean to say that the main heroes means the people who headed the revolt were Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi, Nana Sahib, Tatya Tope, Kuwar Singh, Begum Hazrat Mahal and hundreds of others who had fought against the British. The main hero, the main sepoy who dared to oppose British was Mangal Pandey. So we cannot forget the sacrifice given by the first martyr of the revolt. Bahadur Shah Zafar, the Mughal emperor, led the revolt but was exiled to Burma where he died later. Now the causes of the defeat, though I told you that though hundreds of people at different places they participated in the revolt, but also then the revolt was a failure. Now what were the causes? Let us revise one more time. The revolt was not well organized, so it could not spread to other parts of India. Bahadur Shah Zafar, who took the lead, but he proved to be a weak leader. People were not fighting for a single cause, forcing the revolt to start before time. The Indian soldiers neither had enough money nor enough weapons to continue the revolt. Many of the Indian kings, rather than supporting the revolt, they were on the side of British. So there were many reasons why the revolt was a failure. So this was the reason that it made a failure, it gave a failure to the revolt. Let us talk about the effect of the revolt. The most important effects that emerged after the revolt of 1857 were: control of the British government in India was transferred to the British Crown. A minister of British government was given the responsibility for governance of India. The major impact was the introduction of Government of India Act, which abolished the rule of British East India Company and marked the beginning of British Raj directly through representatives. Even though the revolt failed, it sowed the seeds of Indian nationalism within the people. Indian nationalism had many underlying forces that led to the Indian independence movement. Meaning, the revolt of 1857, which we regard as a turning point in Indian history, but there are some reasons behind it. Some reasons like the Mughal rule in India, which had lasted for 400 years, came to an end. Means Bahadur Shah Zafar proved to be a weak leader. He was captured by the British and exiled to Burma, where he died later and his two sons were killed. So the the Mughal rule came to an end. The other reason was the rule of British East India Company came to an end, and now directly India was under the British Crown, that is the British Parliament. The other reason is that the British government appointed a Governor General, or even a Viceroy, it can be said as even Viceroy, for India. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. Some rulers were allowed to rule their kingdoms, but were under British rule. Means they were controlled by British. And most importantly, the revolt inspired Indians to strive for their country's freedom. So the efforts of Mangal Pandey did not go waste. Though the revolt lasted in different parts for 1 year, and though it failed, but also then it sowed the seeds of nationalism among Indians. Students, now let me explain you that though revolt failed, but it sowed the seeds of nationalism. Let me explain you in detail. Nationalism is the feeling of love and devotion for one's own country. The revolt of 1857 sowed the seeds of nationalism within Indians and instilled in them the courage to fight against the British. Many social reformers played an important role in educating the people and removing ill practices that prevailed in Indian society. These reformers protested against the sati system, child marriage, and caste system. They advocated for women's education, widow remarriage, and the upliftment of all the sections of society. Let us know about some of the social reformers in detail. Students, now some of the social and religious reformers such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Dayanand Saraswati, Swami Vivekanand, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, M.G. Ranade, Sri Narayan Guru, and many more tried to reform the Indian society. They spoke against the evils of sati, casteism, and child marriage. They led towards the formation of New India, where they saw India as one country which was free from the British control. Let us know about some of them, that what they did for the Indian society. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was born on 22nd August 1772. This great man was born in a Brahmin family. He quit his job of East India Company and threw himself in Indian society. He got Indian society out of the practice of sati and child marriage before independence. He spent his whole life fighting for the rights of women. Raja Ram Mohan Roy felt pain towards women when his sister-in-law had to be sati. Let me tell you one incident of his life which shook him completely by the practice of sati. Now, one time when he went to abroad, and meanwhile his brother died. After that, the society's contractors, means the leaders of the society, burnt his sister-in-law alive in the name of sati. After this, he agitated, means he opposed this system and against the evils of the society with the help of Governor General Lord William Bentinck. So he did a lot to remove the system of sati out of Indian society. Dayanand Saraswati. Now, Swami Dayanand Saraswati was born on 12th February 1824. This great reformer protested against idol worship, the caste system, and wanted women to be educated. He founded Arya Samaj in 1875. He believed that the source of true knowledge is Vedas. He gave the call for Swaraj, meaning he realized that we are under the domination of some people who are not basically Indians. So he was the one who realized that we need to have Swaraj. The primary aim of Arya Samaj was to do good for all, that is, to promote physical, spiritual, and social well-being. Arya Samaj tells that we should treat all the people with love and give regard to their merit. Dayanand Saraswati wanted to re-establish Vedas, the earliest Hindu scriptures, as revealed truth. So he believed in establishing the society where it should go with equality and there should be no casteism. He wanted all the females, all the women to be educated. So this was the reform which Swami Dayanand Saraswati brought to the Indian society. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was born on 26 September 1820. He was a Sanskrit scholar, a translator, and a reformer, among others. He simplified the Bengali alphabet and modernized Bengali prose. He was a strong believer in widow remarriage. Lord Dalhousie was persuaded to personally sign the bill allowing widow remarriage. So Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar removed the evil out of the Indian society, that when a young widow was not allowed to marry, he made a reform, he established a reform that a girl whose husband dies when she is young, she is always permitted to remarry. Swami Vivekananda was born on 12th January 1863. Swami Vivekananda was the chief disciple of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhans. He took the Indian philosophy to the West, particularly the idea of Vedanta and Yoga. He worked for social upliftment, education, and reforms till date, meaning now also in the monastery established by Swami Vivekananda, still the programs connected to education are yet carried on. There are many books, and all the monasteries of Vivekanand have huge libraries, because he always emphasized on the education of youth. He believed that if the youth of the country are well educated, the country is automatically going to be handled properly. So, students, basically, many reformers tried to reform the Indian society and tried to remove or talk against the evils of sati, casteism, child marriage, and many others. All this led to the formation of Indian National Congress in 1885. The Indian realized that the British had conquered India to promote their own interest and were not interested in the welfare of the Indian people. They saw India as one country and felt that the British rule should should come to an end. Now, on the other hand, the British's objective was to obtain a greater share in government for educated Indians and to create a platform for civic and political dialogue. And so the Indian National Congress was actually founded by A.O. Hume in 1885. The first session of the Congress was held in Mumbai, which W.C. Banerjee was the first president. He was made the first president. And A.O. Hume was an Englishman, children. He was the one who, along with Dadabhai Naoroji and William Wedderburn, unitedly, they formed Indian National Congress. At that time, the Congress was not anti-government. So more and more people joined. But actually, then when Indians started putting up their demands, it started also criticizing the policy made by the British government. So now British government started facing some problems when Indians revealed their problems faced by the reforms or by the policies introduced by the British. It did so through the prayers and petitions, means the Indian National Congress firstly tried to convincingly tell the British government through prayers and petitions. This was the very early nationalist phase. Leaders such as Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Surendranath Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji believed in the British sense of justice and felt that reforms in Indian society would take place soon. Means some of the elderly members of Indian National Congress believed that whatever problems they are facing will be looked by the British sense of justice, and they felt that they will definitely be considered. But all that was ignored by the British. The younger member of the Congress and the older members disagreed with one another over the methods to bring about reforms. Some younger members started the assertive nationalist phase of the Indian National Congress. Leaders such as Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, the Bipin Chandra Pal, they were all three known as Lal, Bal and Pal, wanted immediate action. Tilak wanted the common people to become a part of the movement, as he felt that nothing would happen without them. Means Bal Gangadhar Tilak thought that unless and until each and every Indian do not participate in the problems faced, do not participate in protesting against British, the result could not be achieved. So he thought of publishing newspaper so that each and every Indian come to know about the problems faced in different parts of India. Earlier, there was no well organization, and that was the reason of the failure of the revolt. So Tilak thought of publishing newspaper, and so that every Indian could know that what are the problems faced in other parts of India. Tilak's newspaper, Kesari and Maratha, were critical of British, means they would tell openly, Tilak would print or he would express everything openly in newspaper, and so for this he was punished to jail also many a times. So this was the time when Indian National Congress was organized. Some of the young revolutionaries were very active. Aurobindo Ghosh, Veer Savarkar, Bhagat Singh, they were all among them. They believed that British could be overthrown only by force, whereas some of the moderates, means some of the members of Indian National Congress, elderly people like Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Dadabhai Nauroji, and they all thought that we can put up the petition in court and definitely it will be considered, and one day everything will be smooth. So they believed that though British were in India, we all can live as one country. So this was the belief at that time. Now what happens after the establishment of Indian National Congress? What happens? Does the British government take all these points into consideration or not? This will be discussed in the next upcoming learning video. So children, if you have understood till here properly and attentively, it will create interest to wait for another video. So this is all about today's learning. So students, today we learnt about what happened after the revolt of 1857, meaning what were the effects of 1857's revolt. After 1857 revolt, company's rule came to an end. British government appointed a viceroy to govern the country. Then we talked about the rise of nationalism. Social reformers played an important role in it. Then we talked about the formation of Indian National Congress in 1885 by an Englishman, A.O. Hume. Then we discussed that many of the Indian members joined INC, that is Indian National Congress, but many of them did not have the same views. Like moderate leaders believed in discussions and appeals, whereas radicals, that is extremists, favored the strikes, and they believed that the British could be overthrown only by force. So today we learnt about all this and came to know about some of the social reformers who really worked in the field of religion, and some of the social evils they worked to reform the Indian society. So we learned about all this today in the video. Now stay tuned to know about what happened after the formation of Indian National Congress. So I will come up with the learning video very soon. So for today, this is it. I'm signing off. Thank you and stay safe.